No cameras captured the moment SB19 stepped into the room that would redefine their trajectory. No fan accounts documented the shift in industry temperature that followed. Yet for those who witnessed it, the scene was unmistakable, a Filipino act operating with the composure of seasoned veterans, measured not against local competition, but against the global standard. This was not a performance crafted for viral clips or trending hashtags. It was a demonstration of readiness, and the room felt it. The context behind this moment traces back to a broader misunderstanding that had been circulating through fan communities and commentary circles. When Ogie Diaz suggested that SB19's decision to scale back on personalized fan shoutouts signaled arrogance or emotional distance, he was interpreting the shift through a lens rooted in traditional entertainment frameworks. On the surface, the observation seemed relatable. Fans had grown accustomed to seeing their names mentioned during live streams, their birthdays acknowledged on stage, their personal connections validated through spontaneous moments of recognition. When these instances became rarer, the absence created space for interpretation. But relatable does not equal accurate, and emotional interpretation does not reflect industry reality. What Diaz and others overlooked was the fundamental transformation occurring within SB19's operational framework. This was not a group resting on local fame, but a brand actively restructuring for international viability. The decision to reduce random shoutouts was never about forgetting roots or rejecting fans. It was about recognizing that at their current scale, every interaction functions as currency. Unlimited accessibility destroys value. When access becomes free, attention loses meaning. This is not arrogance, it is economics. To understand why this shift was necessary, one must examine the trajectory of other global acts who navigated similar transitions. BTS, during their ascent from passionate underground origins to global dominance, gradually eliminated spontaneous fan mentions and birthday greetings. Their early years featured constant acknowledgement of individual fans, personalized moments, and direct engagement. As their influence expanded, these interactions became controlled, relegated to official fan events and carefully curated messaging. Blackpink followed the same evolutionary path. As their commercial footprint grew, random fan interactions during interviews and performances disappeared entirely. The reason for this universal shift among top-tier artists lies in the nature of scale. At SB19's current level, a shoutout ceases to be a casual gesture and becomes an endorsement. A greeting transforms into favoritism. A mention becomes a legal and public relations risk. The group is no longer simply a collection of performers, they are a corporate entity, a brand, and an international property. This structural change alters the calculus of every public interaction. Legal teams monitor statements. Brand partners scrutinize associations. Sponsors demand protection from unscripted liabilities. What appears as a harmless mention to a fan can trigger contract disputes, create entitlement expectations, or be weaponized out of context. The legal dimension of this shift remains invisible to most audiences but is critical to understanding the decision. Once artists reach a certain commercial threshold, their communications fall under corporate oversight. A spontaneous shoutout can conflict with existing brand obligations, upset paying sponsors who expect exclusive access, or create legal precedents regarding fan relationships. Some artists have faced litigation over seemingly innocent mentions that were later interpreted as contractual commitments or misrepresentations. SB19's management understood that protecting the brand's long-term value required withdrawing from the ecosystem of random personal acknowledgements. This evolution reflects SB19's transition from local prominence to international positioning. They are no longer operating within a purely Filipino context. They are charting globally, securing foreign partnerships, negotiating cross-border deals, and building infrastructure for lasting legacy. Global brands do not invest in artists who remain overexposed or who dilute their mystique through constant accessibility. Scarcity creates demand. Professional boundaries are not disrespect. They are sustainability. The mathematics of shoutout culture reveals its inherent unsustainability at scale. If SB19 were to maintain the practice of acknowledging individual fans, they would need to deliver hundreds of personalized moments daily to satisfy millions of followers. The moment one fan receives recognition, thousands feel excluded. This dynamic transforms appreciation into expectation and engagement into entitlement. Such pressure is unhealthy for both fans and artists. It creates a transactional environment where love is measured in visibility rather than genuine connection. What replaced the old shoutout model was not coldness, but structure. SB19 transitioned from fan service to fan respect. Fan service operates as emotional labor, requiring constant performance of accessibility. Fan respect functions as longevity planning, recognizing that sustainable careers require boundaries. Choosing structure over spontaneity is not abandonment, it is strategic preservation. The group stopped doing shoutouts not because they forgot who they are, but because they finally understood who they are becoming. The critique from traditional entertainment figures like Diaz missed this industry reality because it was grounded in outdated standards. Local entertainment culture operated under different economic conditions, where accessibility signaled humility and constant engagement demonstrated gratitude. That framework served its purpose in earlier market conditions, but global competition follows different rules. SB19 is no longer playing the local game. They are competing in the same arena as hype labels, international management companies, and global touring operations. Judging them by standards designed for regional markets is like criticizing an aircraft for refusing to behave like a bicycle. The uncomfortable question that should replace the commentary about ego is this: how did SB19 reach a level where personalized shoutouts are no longer necessary for validation? That is not distance, that is evolution. The group did not leave their supporters behind. They are carrying them forward into a new operational reality where professional boundaries protect rather than diminish the relationship. This shift creates a precedent for Filipino artists entering global markets. It demonstrates that professional boundaries are not equivalent to disrespect, and that structure does not kill authenticity. SB19 is building a blueprint for how local acts can scale internationally without losing their core identity, but blueprints are rarely understood while they are being constructed. The confusion surrounding their decision reflects the difficulty of watching familiar artists evolve beyond the frameworks that originally defined them. For fans experiencing discomfort with this change, the emotional response is valid. Growth often feels like loss, particularly for those who supported the group during their ascent. The SB19 that once felt personally accessible has transformed into something larger, more structured, and more distant. Yet this transformation is not unique. Every global artist undergoes this moment when love must convert into structure, when access must transform into intention, and when growth demands discipline. SB19 did not stop doing shoutouts because they became arrogant. They stopped because they finally comprehended the full scope of their potential, and that comprehension required letting go of practices that no longer serve their trajectory. The global entertainment industry operates through quiet recognition rather than loud validation. While fans celebrate through trending topics and social media engagement, careers advance through decisions made in private conversations where executives evaluate reliability, scalability, and market fit. This is where SB19's recent performance at ACO 2025 becomes significant, not because it generated viral content, but because it earned the attention of industry decision-makers who rarely express public enthusiasm. In rooms where careers are evaluated rather than celebrated, SB19 demonstrated qualities that separated them from typical idol groups. They entered the space with focused presence, not performative confidence. Their body language communicated readiness rather than anxiety. They operated with internal standards that matched the professional level of the environment, neither seeking validation nor waiting to be guided. This composure under pressure signals experience that extends beyond resumes and performance metrics. Backstage, where illusions typically collapse, SB19 maintained their standards. Their preparation was deliberate and efficient, without visible chaos or panic. Each member understood their role and timing, conducting themselves with professional autonomy. Their interactions with staff and executives demonstrated respect without hierarchy, acknowledging others naturally without forcing engagement. This balance is rare and deeply noticed by industry veterans who understand that backstage behavior predicts longevity. Backstage, where illusions typically collapse, SB19 maintained their standards. Their preparation was deliberate and efficient, without visible chaos or panic. Each member understood their role and timing, conducting themselves with professional autonomy. Their interactions with staff and executives demonstrated respect without hierarchy, acknowledging others naturally without forcing engagement. This balance is rare and deeply noticed by industry veterans who understand that backstage behavior predicts longevity. During the performance itself, SB19 displayed the crowd intelligence that separates professionals from performers. They adapted their delivery in real time, reading the room with precision that comes from experience and discipline. They adjusted pacing, sensing when to let moments breathe and when to push energy forward. Their contact with the audience was intentional and responsive rather than scattered or performative. They played not to the loudest reactions or front rows, but to the room as a whole, including the quiet observers who decide futures without applause. The executive producers who witnessed this performance recognized qualities that extended beyond polish. While industry veterans expect visual polish from idol groups, they do not always anticipate adaptability. SB19 demonstrated both, delivering impact without excess. Their strength came from controlled transitions, clean vocals, and purposeful movement. Nothing felt padded or borrowed. They performed like artists who had already experienced global stages, not hopeful aspirants seeking entry. After the performance, the reactions occurred in the spaces where industry momentum actually forms. There were no immediate public statements or viral clips, but rather quiet approaches, deliberate conversations, and requests for future discussions. The language used to describe SB19 shifted from terms of success and fan base to concepts of scalability, reliability, and market fit. These are the words used when considering long-term investment rather than momentary celebration. What shifted most significantly was the industry's perception of SB19's positioning. Before the performance, they were discussed as a promising act seeking access. Afterward, they were viewed as a proven asset requiring no transition period. This distinction reshaped touring discussions, collaboration offers, and international market planning. Risk assessments soften. Commitments lengthen. Timelines accelerate. Popularity brings attention, but trust brings infrastructure.